It started with her voice, low, calm, almost trembling through the quiet of the kitchen. "Tea or coffee?" she asked, not looking at me. It should have been a simple question, but the way her hand paused on the kettle told me this wasn't going to be simple at all. Maya, my girlfriend's older sister, stood by the counter in a soft black dress, sleeves rolled to her elbows. She was in her mid-40s, though something about her made time feel irrelevant. There was always that mix of certainty and hesitation in her, like she'd learned how to hide emotions so well that even she forgot what they were supposed to look like. I told her coffee's fine. She smiled faintly. "You still take it with too much sugar." Still, that word clung to the air like perfume. I hadn't seen her in months, not since that night. The night neither of us mentioned, the one tucked behind polite greetings and half-finished messages. I had convinced myself it hadn't meant what I thought it did, that she had just been lonely and I had been foolish. Now, standing in her kitchen while rain whispered against the windows, all those careful lies began to shake. Maya poured coffee into 2 mugs, her fingers brushing mine as she passed one over. A small thing, accidental, but her touch stayed like warmth trapped under my skin. "You look tired," she said softly. "Work," I lied. "And a life." She nodded. "Life does that." Then, quieter, "Sometimes it doesn't stop when you need it to." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the soft ticking of the clock, the rain, her slow breath. When she finally met my eyes, there was something unguarded in her, something I hadn't seen before. Not the older sister of my girlfriend calm, not the practiced maturity she wore like armor. Just a woman who remembered and wasn't sure if she should. I wanted to look away. I didn't. "Maya," I started then stopped. She tilted her head slightly. "You were going to say something." I was going to say I shouldn't be here. Her lips curved, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. "And yet you are." The space between us felt thin, the kind of thin that could break with a single word. She turned back to the counter, pretending to rinse a clean cup. "Your girlfriend's running late. Said she'd text you." I nodded, but my phone stayed untouched beside the mug. My focus didn't move from the line of her shoulders. The way her hair slipped loose when she turned, the faint tremor in her fingers when she set the cup down. I remembered that same tremor months ago when the lights had gone out during the storm and she had stood too close. When she'd said my name like a confession. When the sound of her voice pulled me back. "Do you ever think about that night?" she asked. My chest tightened. "What?" She exhaled, not answering, her gaze steady. Because sometimes silence feels heavier than the truth. Her words landed like a secret she didn't mean to speak. Before I could respond, the air shifted, a vibration from my phone on the counter. A message from my girlfriend. "I'll be late. Don't wait up." Maya read it over my shoulder before I could lock the screen. Her eyes flickered. Not surprise, not guilt. Something else. She stepped closer, close enough for me to smell her perfume, faint and familiar. Then, almost a whisper, she said, "You remember that night, don't you?" Her question hung between us. The only sound in the room now was the rain hitting the glass. And though every part of me wanted to lie, I couldn't. Because yes, I remembered everything. And the night wasn't over yet. The rain didn't stop. It only got quieter, as if the world outside was holding its breath with us. Maya leaned against the counter, her arms folded loosely, the same faint smile that never gave away what she was really thinking. I took a slow sip of my coffee, just to keep my hands busy. She finally broke the silence. "You and Lila, you're still together?" Her voice was calm, but the question landed like a stone in water, ripples spreading everywhere I didn't want them to. I nodded. "Yeah, I guess we are." "You guess." There was that gentle dissection she did so well. The same way she read people, line by line, until there was nothing left but truth. I looked at her, then down at the mug. "We've been off. A lot of fighting lately. She's different now." Maya's gaze softened. "She's young." People change fast at that age. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Lila was 24 my age. Her sister, standing 2 feet away, was twice that. And yet, if anyone felt young in that moment, it was me. "You're not married anymore," I said quietly. It wasn't a question. She gave a short laugh, brittle, almost self-mocking. 3 years divorced. "Congratulations, you remembered." "I remember a lot of things," I said before I could stop myself. She went still, just for a second, then looked away toward the window. "Don't," she whispered. That word, small, fragile, carried all the weight of the night we'd both buried. I wanted to change the subject, to pull the moment back into something safe, but safety was already gone. I thought about how it started, months ago, when I came by to help Lila move apartments. Maya had been there, organizing boxes, wearing that same black dress she had on tonight. We talked late after Lila fell asleep, about books, music, everything and nothing. She'd looked at me differently that night, not like her sister's boyfriend, but like someone she wanted to understand. And when her hand brushed mine, I didn't pull away. Now, standing here again, I could feel that same current humming in the silence. She turned toward me. "You should go before it gets harder." "Harder?" Maya met my eyes. "You know what I mean?" Her tone wasn't cold, it was tired. The kind of tired that comes from holding back too long. I took a step closer, not enough to touch her, but enough that I could see the faint pulse at her neck, the rise and fall of her breath. "I wasn't looking for this," I said. "You know that." "Neither was I," she replied. Then, softer, "But here we are." For a long moment, neither of us moved. The kitchen light flickered slightly, the storm outside easing into drizzle. Then she reached out. Not a full touch, just her fingers brushing my wrist as she passed me to put her cup in the sink. The touch was fleeting, but it felt like the truth neither of us could speak had just passed between our skin. When she turned back, her voice was barely a whisper. "Don't make me remember again." But she already had. And this time, I wasn't sure I wanted to forget. The rain didn't stop. It only got quieter, as if the world outside was holding its breath with us. Maya leaned against the counter, her arms folded loosely, the same faint smile that never gave away what she was really thinking. I took a slow sip of my coffee, just to keep my hands busy. She finally broke the silence. "You and Lila, you're still together?" Her voice was calm, but the question landed like a stone in water, ripples spreading everywhere I didn't want them to. I nodded. "Yeah, I guess we are." "You guess." There was that gentle dissection she did so well. The same way she read people, line by line, until there was nothing left but truth. I looked at her, then down at the mug. "We've been off. A lot of fighting lately. She's different now." Maya's gaze softened. "She's young. People change fast at that age." The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Lila was 24 my age. Her sister, standing 2 feet away, was twice that. And yet, if anyone felt young in that moment, it was me. "You're not married anymore," I said quietly. It wasn't a question. She gave a short laugh, brittle, almost self-mocking. 3 years divorced. "Congratulations, you remembered." "I remember a lot of things," I said before I could stop myself. She went still, just for a second, then looked away toward the window. "Don't," she whispered. That word, small, fragile, carried all the weight of the night we'd both buried. I wanted to change the subject, to pull the moment back into something safe, but safety was already gone. I thought about how it started, months ago, when I came by to help Lila move apartments. Maya had been there, organizing boxes, wearing that same black dress she had on tonight. We'd talked late after Lila fell asleep, about books, music, everything and nothing. She'd looked at me differently that night, not like her sister's boyfriend, but like someone she wanted to understand. And when her hand brushed mine, I didn't pull away. Now, standing here again, I could feel that same current humming in the silence. She turned toward me. "You should go before it gets harder." "Harder?" Maya met my eyes. "You know what I mean?" Her tone wasn't cold, it was tired. The kind of tired that comes from holding back too long. I took a step closer, Not enough to touch her, but enough that I could see the faint pulse at her neck, the rise and fall of her breath. "I wasn't looking for this," I said. "You know that." "Neither was I," she replied. Then, softer, "But here we are." For a long moment, neither of us moved. The kitchen light flickered slightly, the storm outside easing into drizzle. Then she reached out, not a full touch, just her fingers brushing my wrist as she passed me to put her cup in the sink. The touch was fleeting, but it felt like the truth neither of us could speak had just passed between our skin. When she turned back, her voice was barely a whisper. "Don't make me remember again." But she already had, and this time, I wasn't sure I wanted to forget. The storm had passed by morning, leaving the world washed and quiet. The kind of quiet that amplifies what's left unsaid. I hadn't planned to come back, but by noon, I was standing outside Maya's office door, pretending I had a reason. Something about returning a book or a message for Lila. Lies, all of it. When she opened the door, her surprise was too quick to hide. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "I know." "Then why are you?" "I don't know." The truth hung between us, heavy as breath. She let me in anyway. The room was small. Her university office, papers stacked, shelves of books leaning like tired witnesses. The faint smell of coffee and her perfume mixed with old paper. She closed the door slowly. "If someone sees you here, I won't stay long." But I did. Minutes stretched into something dangerous. She sat at her desk, pretending to read, while I stood near the window, pretending not to watch her. Every flick of her pen, every shift of her shoulders, every small sigh chipped away at the distance we kept trying to build. When she finally looked up, her voice had changed. "You think this is harmless?" "No," I said. "I think it's real." Her eyes flickered, the kind of look that says don't say that and say it again at the same time. "Lila doesn't deserve this," she said. "I know." "Then stop coming back." I should have left right then, but instead I took a step closer. "Tell me you don't think about it." She exhaled, almost a laugh, almost a sob. "You think this is easy for me?" "No, y whisperat." "That's why I can't stop." Her silence wasn't an answer. It was an opening. One I couldn't unsee. And then a knock. Both of us froze. Maya's hand went to her chest. "Don't move," she mouthed. I slipped behind a tall bookshelf as she unlocked the door. "Professor Malik?" A voice called. It was Dean Crawford, older, sharp-eyed, polite in a way that made every word sound like a threat. "I was hoping to catch you," he said. "About the department dinner tonight." "Oh, yes, of course," Maya replied, her tone perfectly steady. From behind the books, I watched her. The way she straightened her back, her smile practiced but thin. She was composed, elegant, and trembling slightly. When the door finally shut, she leaned against it, exhaling hard. "You have to go," she whispered. I stepped out slowly. "Do you want me to?" Her hand was still on the doorknob. Her answer didn't come. Instead, she turned, and for the first time didn't look away. We were inches apart, breath against breath, both of us caught between wanting and fear. Her fingers brushed the side of my face, hesitant, as if testing a memory. "Maya," she shook her head. "Don't say it." And then the air broke, a moment so close it hurt. Almost a kiss. Almost. She pulled back first. "Go. Please." I left without a word. But when I reached the end of the hallway, I turned back. Through the glass of her office door, I saw her hand pressed against her lips, like she just stopped herself from something she couldn't undo. And for the first time, I wasn't sure which one of us she was trying to save. The following week, I tried not to see her. Tried being the key word. Every time Lila texted, every time she smiled like nothing was wrong, I felt that quiet sickness crawl up my chest, guilt and want fighting like rivals. But it wasn't just guilt. It was something deeper, something that started to sound like need. When Maya called me that Friday, just my name, no reason, I didn't even hesitate. Her voice was low. "Can you stop by for a minute? I need help with something." That was all it took. By the time I got there, dusk had turned her living room gold. She was barefoot, hair loose, standing beside a half-open box of old photographs. "I found these," she said without looking up. I thought Lila might want some, but she trailed off, staring at a picture of her ex-husband. I didn't know him, but I knew the look on her face, the mix of memory and quiet resentment. Do you ever miss it? I asked. What? Being with someone. Her eyes lifted to mine, steady, unreadable. You shouldn't ask questions like that. I'm not trying to cross a line. She smiled faintly. You crossed it weeks ago. The room felt smaller. Her laughter, brittle and brave, echoed between us. I sat beside her on the couch. The photos lay scattered across her lap, pieces of a life she'd lived before me. She brushed a strand of hair from her face, her fingers trembling slightly. Maya, I said quietly. She looked at me then, really looked. You're supposed to love my sister. I tried. The honesty left my throat raw. Her lips parted, but she said nothing. The silence grew thick, fragile. I could hear the faint hum of the ceiling fan, the ticking clock, my heartbeat, too loud. You think this is love? She asked. I don't know what it is, I said, but I can't stop. Something broke in her expression. Not anger, not surprise, but surrender. You're too young, she whispered. Then stop me. She didn't. Her hand lifted, hesitant, unsure, then dropped back in her lap. If this happens, she said, voice unsteady, we ruin everything. Maybe it's already ruined. She flinched like I'd touched a bruise. For a long time we just sat there, breathing the same air, trying not to move, both knowing movement meant collapse. Then her phone buzzed. Lila's name lit up the screen. Maya's hand shot out, silencing it, her breath sharp. She's coming home early, she said, barely above a whisper. I stood, heart pounding. I should go, yes. But she didn't stand, didn't move. I hesitated by the door. Say something, Maya. Her gaze lifted, eyes glassy, voice trembling. You shouldn't have answered my call, she said. Because I wasn't asking for help. She stood then, closing the space between us in 2 steps. I could see every line of her face, the way her breath caught when she looked at me. Maya, don't. Her voice cracked, but she didn't back away. The air between us burned. Every word we hadn't said hung there, pulsing alive. And then, the sound of keys outside the door. Lila's voice, laughing faintly in the hallway. Maya froze, eyes wide. We both knew, whatever we were about to do, whatever we almost were, had just run out of time. The knock at the door came too soon after the sound of keys. Too soon for either of us to pretend nothing had happened. Maya's face went pale. Act normal, she whispered. Normal. As if that word had any meaning left. Lila stepped in, rain still caught in her hair, a bright smile that dimmed the second she saw me. You're here. I forced a nod. Maya asked me to help with, some boxes. Her eyes flicked between us, that instant, calculating pause that only someone who already suspects something can have. Oh, she said softly. Boxes. Maya busied herself at the table, voice too casual. He was just leaving. I see, Lila replied, crossing her arms. You two talk a lot lately, don't you? Maya froze. I felt my throat tighten. Lila, I started. It's not, she cut me off. Don't. Her tone wasn't angry yet, just sharp, precise. I'm not stupid. The room felt smaller by the second. Rain began again outside, slow and steady, matching the pulse in my ears. Lila dropped her bag on the chair. You think I didn't notice? The messages? The way you avoid saying her name around me? Maya stepped forward. Lila, stop. You're imagining things. I heard you, Lila said, voice breaking now. That night you thought I was asleep. I heard you. The words hit like a door slamming shut. My heart stumbled. Maya's hand covered her mouth, eyes wide. What exactly did you hear? She whispered. Lila looked between us, tears sharp with disbelief. Enough. I heard you say his name. I heard you say you couldn't stop thinking about him. For a moment, everything blurred. The rain, the light, the sound of my breath. Maya stepped back, shaking her head. Lila, I didn't mean, but the damage was already done. Lila's gaze snapped to me. Was it true? I couldn't lie. I tried, but the words wouldn't come. Lila, I said softly, please. She laughed, bitter small, heartbreak wrapped in disbelief. My own sister, she said. You couldn't find anyone else? Maya's voice cracked. Lila, I never wanted this. It just happened. That's supposed to make it better? I took a step toward Lila, but she flinched back. Don't, she whispered. Don't touch me. Her eyes glistened, fury and grief tangled together. You both deserve each other, she said, and then she was gone. The door slammed so hard it shook the frame. For a long time, we didn't move. Maya sank onto the couch, her face in her hands. It's over, she said quietly, but I could tell she didn't believe it. Neither did I. Outside, headlights flashed, Lila's car reversing out of the driveway. The sound faded, leaving only the rain again. Maya looked up at me finally, eyes red, voice hollow. She'll never forgive us. I knelt beside her. Then what do we do? Her answer came after a long silence, trembling but certain. We tell the truth, she said. All of it, even if it ends everything. And somehow I knew that was the first real thing either of us had said in months. Days passed like static, every sound too loud, every silence worse. Lila stopped answering calls. Her messages came back unread. Maya and I hadn't spoken since that night, either. The last thing I remembered was her face, not angry, not guilty, just broken. By the third day, I couldn't take it anymore. She didn't open the door right away. When she finally did, she looked smaller somehow. Tired eyes, loose hair, wrapped in a sweater that wasn't warm enough. You shouldn't be here, she said. I know. Then why are you? Because you said we should tell the truth. She exhaled slowly, stepping aside to let me in. The living room looked stripped of life. Boxes packed, photos taken off the walls. You're leaving? I asked. Maybe, she said. Maybe that's the only way this stops hurting. I stood there, not sure where to look. She's not talking to me either, I said quietly. I think I ruined both of you. Maya's laugh was short, humorless. You didn't ruin anything. We did that ourselves. Her voice wavered, but her posture stayed straight, like she was holding herself together one word at a time. She'll hate me, she whispered. Her own sister. I've done a lot of wrong things in my life, but this I stepped closer. You didn't plan this. Neither of us did. That doesn't make it right. No, I said, but it's real. Her eyes met mine, and there was again the same pull that started all of this. Familiar, dangerous, honest. I don't know what to do with you, she said. Maybe you don't have to do anything. The air between us thickened. My heart was loud enough to drown out thought. She took a step forward, close enough that I could feel her breath, see the way her fingers trembled when she reached up, not to touch me, but to stop herself. Every time I see you, she said, voice breaking, I remember how easy it was to forget the rest of the world. Then don't forget, I said. Just don't lie about it anymore. Her eyes closed, and for a heartbeat, it felt like she might give in, like the distance, the guilt, the years didn't matter anymore. Then she stepped back. You think this is love? I think it's the only thing that ever felt honest. She shook her head, tears slipping silently down her face. Honesty isn't enough to fix what we broke. I reached out, slow, uncertain, and this time she didn't stop me. My hand brushed her cheek, and she leaned into it just slightly, eyes closing again. A moment suspended, too long, too late. When she finally opened her eyes, she whispered, tell her the truth. Tell her everything. But don't come back after that. Her words hit like a door, closing softly. Final, gentle, impossible. I nodded, unable to speak. As I turned to leave, she called out, barely above a whisper, I'll remember you kindly, Armin. The door shut behind me, the sound quiet but complete. Outside, the rain had stopped. The world smelled new again, not forgiven, not repaired, just real. And maybe that was enough. A month passed, maybe more. Time blurred the edges, but not the center. Not her. Lila never called. Not once. But she did send one message, short and final. I'm not ready to forgive you. Either of you. Fair enough. Some wounds don't heal on demand. I moved out of the apartment we'd shared. Took a job 2 towns over. Something quiet, something that didn't remind me of rain or late-night phone calls. For weeks, I told myself I'd forget. That time would sand it all down. The scent of Maya's perfume, the way her voice dropped when she said my name, the weight of what we'd done. But forgetting isn't the same as healing. It's just silence pretending to be peace. Then one Sunday afternoon, I saw her again. Not in person, in a bookstore window. Apostel. Guest lecture. Maya Malik. The literature of regret. I stood there for a long time, just staring at her name. The irony almost made me laugh. When she walked onto the small stage, later that evening, she looked calm. Lighter somehow. There were faint lines around her eyes, but they softened when she smiled. She didn't see me, or maybe she did and chose not to. Her talk was about stories that end before they're supposed to. About characters who make mistakes, and how sometimes the beauty isn't in fixing things, but in understanding why they broke. Every word sounded like us. After it ended, I waited outside. Rain had started again, soft, harmless. She came out with her bag slung over her shoulder, stopping when she saw me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "You came," she said, her voice steady but warm. I didn't know if I should. "You shouldn't have," she said and smiled. We stood there, just two people in a kind of silence that doesn't need filling anymore. "How's Lila?" she asked. "She's trying," I said. "I think we both are." Maya nodded, her gaze drifting to the wet pavement. "That's good. Trying counts." There was no tension this time, no hunger, no guilt. Just understanding, simple and heavy and kind. "I read your essay," I said. "The one you published last week." She raised an eyebrow. "And you made heartbreak sound like art." She laughed softly. Maybe it was. The rain picked up, and for a second, I almost reached for her hand. Almost. Instead, she touched my sleeve, a brief, wordless goodbye. "Take care of yourself, Armin," she said. "And don't waste what this taught you." Before I could answer, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the blur of people and umbrellas. I stood there a while longer, watching until I couldn't anymore. Some stories don't end with forgiveness. Some end with understanding. And maybe that's enough. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next? More slow-burn romances, emotional confessions, or forbidden love stories with unexpected endings?